Good afternoon, this is Ken Jolliffe from BIS Commodities here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Looking over your commodity trade for the week ending of January 30th. A week that's seen some pretty good pressure in most of our grains here. We're down 15 cents in March corn for the week. We're down about 11 cents in March soybeans for the week. Wheat market also down about 11 cents. The soybean meal market ended up about steady on the week. I thought we'd take a step back and, rather than just concentrate on what happened this week, let's take a look at, the month of January, going back and starting with where prices were when we had the USDA come out with their final crop report on the 12th. Looking at March corn prior to the announcement of the numbers that day, we were trading corn at 407. And today we're sitting here at roughly 370, so we're down about 36 cents on the month. Soybeans, we're down about $1 on the month. They were in that 1062 area on March. We're down here at 962 to today's close. Wheat also, we were in the area of about 603, and we're sitting here at 503. So it's been a pretty tough month on our prices. Breaking down each one here a little bit, you look at the wheat market. We had the market running up to above the $6, right up close to $6.80 here prior to the report, prior to the end of the year. Of course, a lot of that was coming from the excursion of the Russian troops into Ukraine back during that time frame, and the concern about wheat exports. And of course, a lot of that has been settled down, in the last 30 to 45 days. Yes, we still have some problems within Ukraine with the Russians, but it seems like the world has somewhat accepted where the wheat's going to be originated from. It's still coming out of the Black Sea area, and has also seen an awful lot of wheat coming out of France here right now. So it has settled that market down to the levels we're seeing here at the close at the end of the month. Corn market, we went into the month and into the crop report time frame knowing that these funds were long, anywhere from 220 to 240,000 contracts. Once we saw these numbers, it was pretty much, it looked like the market did not want to reward these people for being long. So we've seen a gradual grind back lower to where we have actually taken back about half of the move that we had with the rally that started in the middle of harvest. The corn market, the funds have liquidated part of their longs. We have not seen the numbers here yet this afternoon where they quite stand yet. Other things that affected the corn market besides the funds being long is, we've seen some Ukrainian corn being offered out at price substantially less than ours into the export market. So that's kind of put a damper on us to a point. Yesterday's sales were, again, good, but when you're looking at the numbers and what they have to be to meet the USDA's annual estimate, we need to sit in here with this, roughly 40 million bushels of corn per week sales to meet those numbers. So soybeans, we have come through the period of some cancellations with the Chinese on some purchases. It looks to me like they have changed some origins. Maybe it's just been some merchandising 101 within their own country between some processors. So we did have some decent sales this past week of 33 million bushels, but I think the overall consent is that the lineup of ships are increasing in South America at the Brazilian ports. The crop down there is a good crop. Maybe it's not quite as good as what it was 30 days ago. Maybe it won't be quite as good 30 days from now as what it is today, because there are some that want to tout some dryness in some of the areas. It could be one of those cases to where, 1st of January, 5% of the area was dry. Mid-January, it was 10%. Now it's at 15%. But be aware that as we move into February, we're going to start seeing the harvest activity increase down there and see more bushels going into the ports. So maybe it's a matter of, is it a 96 million metric ton bean crop, or is it a 92 or 93 is yet to be seen. it is still a record bean crop, and we still have plentiful beans of a supply in the world. So the bean market thus has liquidated itself back down towards the lows again that we posted back in late September, early October. To go ahead and move on the next step, coming into next week, as we all know, the month of February is going to be all about the crop revenue insurance and how we establish that at what price level, realizing that we all know where we are today versus a year ago. The corn price for revenue insurance last year was $4.62, and beans were roughly $11.32. So it's going to be a totally different outlook as we move forward. We will be very interested to see how we are towards the end of the month and with our prices. When you look at the cash side of things going into next month, there seems to be a fair amount of corn and beans available for the cash market. Granted, the producer has been very tight with his selling here the last couple of weeks, but with the open weather that we've seen this year versus a year ago, we all know that the transportation system has been moving at a much quicker pace. Thus, anything that needs to be moved into the export market or the processing market, has come, versus truck versus rail, at a pace that kept everything pretty much status quo there. So the demand side of things is still decent. The supply side of things is plentiful. You're moving into February. The one thing that I would throw out as some caution moving forward is with the weather we've had. Looking at here in our Iowa weather in particular, we've had some days this week of middle 50s in the central and the western part of the state versus middle 30s in the eastern part of the state. Please go out there and take a look at your bins. Check your bins here thoroughly. Maybe starting next week as we cool back down, make sure we don't have some condensation or something going on in those bins that could cause you some problems moving down the road. So other than that, it's been a month of very little news to discuss. I'm sure we'll have more as we get into February, and granted, another 45 days down the road, we'll be looking at how the conditions start to wrap up in the northern hemisphere as we move towards spring. So have yourself a great weekend. See you next week.